All right. Hey, hello again. It's Mike with eXp Realty. Middle of July, doing our monthly update of our real estate in California and the nation. A lot of things going on. So let's get into it. The current headlines as of today, California home sales rebound in June as home prices moderate, CAR reports. Sales rose 4.1% from the revised 268,810 homes sold in May. We're up 6% from 264,160 in June 2025. Despite that improvement, statewide sales remain below the 300,000 benchmark for the 45th consecutive month. So I'm not sure what to make of that. I mean, I have some ideas, but anyhow, Governor Newsom signs affordable House bill changing where California directs financing to build developments. Out of Oakland, KGO reports that Newsom signed AB 179, a budget trailer bill, including several housing provisions aimed at cutting red tape and clearing the way for more affordable housing projects. State leaders say the new law targets affordable housing. The new law targets affordable housing gets financed, one of the biggest obstacles to construction. So they're pumping some money into new housing because apparently we don't have enough housing. From the DRE, pending home sales fall 5.4% in June. America's housing gap finally holds still after years of growth. And then mortgage apps fall as rates hit highest levels since August of 2025. So people are kind of cooling off on what they're going to buy, but we also have these prices that are historically high, and we're going to get into the charts and we're going to talk about it because really where the charts are in the numbers and what's happened in the past is how we're going to look forward and see what's going to happen going forward. Couple of other nation news, deed theft, and I think they're trying to curb corporate housing, private equity buying hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of properties. I'm out of the Bay Area, so looking at the San Francisco Chronicle, this two articles jumped out. The Transamerican Pyramid adds 113,000 square feet of tenant leases under a new owner. Now, I didn't read this, and I don't know if they actually leased this building out, but I was just kind of paying attention to that side of it. And then if you can see this, exclusive Pier 70 developer wants to add 600 more homes to SF mega project. So as things are slowing down, people are still building. We heard on the last report that the housing starts were way off. And so you're starting to get this feeling of, uncertainty. And it certainly feels that way for us over here. But let's keep going on into this. I went back and I looked at what 2025 was, or I'm sorry, 2005. And I pulled this article up. Bay Area home prices increased 20%. Sales skyrocket, low interest rates, overseas buyers lift the market even higher. So we have that gotta have it feeling, right? Everybody's gotta have this stuff. We don't have that feeling. I don't see, for example, my neighbor's house is for sale. They've dropped the price. She's moving out, and they haven't sold the house. And so that whole multiple offer situation isn't happening on every property. I certainly know some properties that go really quick. Some neighborhoods are better than others. That's how it's always been. The other headline in 2005: average home prices up 13% in 2005. Average U.S. home prices climbed 12.95% in 2005, despite rising mortgage rates in the second half of last year. So we're going to get into that as well. Mortgage rates and prices aren't necessarily correlated, as well as, well, I'll get into this in a minute about the new houses being built, and where that sits. Because in 2009 there were so many houses for sale, it was there was nothing, it was unbelievable, and that was more of a financing hurdle. Jeez, I can't even talk. But here's another story. Housing bubble from 2005. Jan Swanson out of Mortgage News Daily. For the second time in 4 months, the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation has issued a report titled U.S. Home Prices. Does bust always follow boom? So they go on to talk about all the different things that could happen if there was a real estate crash. Of course, we know there was a real estate crash, so it's always interesting to look back and say, hey, this is what was going on. Maybe it's going to happen again. And I'm kind of hedging on that because I don't know if it's necessarily going to happen again. But here's the numbers for the month of June. They just came out. And you can see that sales month change, 4.1% for the whole state. This is single family homes. The prices month to month have dropped, but the sales are up, right? So things are happening more, but prices are starting to soften. But then you hear that we have historical price leads. That's also the headlines telling you that some of these prices, some of these houses are peaking out on their pricing, and it's we got to read about it, right? And you can just look through this and see where is the sales. Far north, up in Fort Bragg, Reading, that area up there, sales are jumping. People are buying. They even had a little bit of growth in their price up there too. And in terms of price growth, it's pretty flat. Condos and townhouses are pretty much there. Central Valley and far north are the ones that have the growth. Everything else is kind of taking a little step back. And then you can see the sales on the far north is 20%, 12%. So this is why it's good to look at the numbers. And this is just the month to month, year to year. We're going to look at the historical data to give us even a better perspective. So this is my update. This is my report. This is one of my slides for the presentation I give to attorneys and real estate groups when they want to talk about numbers. So these updates here, days on markets, it's a little bit higher than that statewide. I didn't update that number. It's 53, I think. We'll see it on the chart. But in the Bay Area, it's 53. Bay Area and California all kind of have a symmetry to it. So, it's not like it's half. Current inventory is 70,000, months of inventory is 3, 21,000 houses sold, pending sales about 30,000. Now these are single family houses too, so you have to there's no condos, there's no townhouses, there's no mobile homes, it's just straight houses. And you can see, going back to the affordability index, how this plays out. 2005, we saw price reduction. We saw the peak in 2003, and then as affordability comes down, the prices start to make some changes. And that's, again, when we had the housing boom or bust, debacle, however you want to categorize it. And we have hit 17% again in 2023. And then you can see that the prices stepped up in 2025. 2026 may be up there again as the numbers continue to unfold. The foreclosures are still pretty close, pretty far down. We're not seeing the spike. I don't know if we're going to see the spike. Certainly, we're pretty busy over here. But that number of 600,000, or 60,000 is just, it's not even close yet. But we're watching it. And once we start to see that wind change, we're going to be pretty busy as I think a lot of this stuff's going to really start to unfold. Again, remember that 3% mortgage or sub 3% is holding this whole thing together. And my thoughts are that people are holding on to that because it's almost free money, right? Median prices from 68 to 2026, you can see the prices spiking up. Again, after each of the affordable index, 17%, there's a decline in prices. And ultimately, if I'm betting on this, I think prices are just going to hold. Why would prices drop? The reason why prices dropped last time was there's so much inventory. So, and again, you can see that the, let me get out of the way here. Oh, there we go. You can see the affordability index is starting to spike up, come up a little bit more. But that's a slower change. Doesn't happen this quickly. But I wanted to show the median sales price as it relates to historical interest rates. So you can see from the first chart here, the median sales price, as it goes through these gray parts are the recessions, prices don't, there's a steady climb. And really the biggest drop was in 2010, 2009, 2008, somewhere right in that area. Here's 2005, when we saw those headlines, is there a bubble? Well, heck yeah. And then we saw it back in 1990, 1980. What were the historical, the interest rates are almost 18, 19, almost 20%. So, and we look over here now, get out of the way again. Interest rates are starting to climb, but they're not climbing like they did. And you can see here in 2009, 2005, the prices dropped, but houses were also $50,000, $100,000. I mean, houses were on sale for sure, tons of inventory. But again, I don't think that we have a housing issue as much as we have a financing issue. Because now people, yeah, you want to buy a house, but it's, $1 million or whatever the number was, right? 900 grand for, so you're seeing this imbalance of people that can actually afford the house versus how many houses are for sale. And people don't want to let it go, and people aren't going to let it go. Because once they get used to that number, they really don't want to come off that price. They're like, if this was $1.5 million, it's going to be $1.5 million again, and they're going to hold on to that. But again, just going back to the sales price, you can see how prices have climbed. Now there might be a big old crash with the current politics. I'm not sure how, but it could. And that's one of the things that we're looking out for is what is going to make this thing drop again. Because there's certainly going to be something that happens. Going back, and this is the Bay Area. This is Marin County, Sonoma County, Napa County, 53 days on market. Yeah, let's look there. Yeah, I got to update that one there. I don't know why I like this thing. Got me right there in the middle. For sale, sold. Last month there was 1,200. Can I move this? Oh, I can. Look at that. Let me just move myself out of here. Hold on a second. 3,700 houses were for sale. And again, houses are for sale, but people just don't have the money. So it's not a housing crisis, it's a finance crisis, more than anything in my mind. And then the pendings are coming off, and we saw that that news article discussed that in the last one of those other slides. Months of inventory based on closed sales, 3 months, kind of sitting right there. It's just, this is seasonal stuff here. And this is one of my favorite charts. And this is local to my area. So 7 days back, we 3,729 houses were listed. 3,000 new listings, almost 8,000 new listings. 2,500 of those are price reductions. So again, pricing your house right from the get-go is important. And when you talk to somebody about stuff, and I've certainly reduced my prices, but I've also gotten above asking as well. Understanding your neighborhood, yes, and in my business, I'm in foreclosure, so a lot of the stuff that I sell is just we got to move it quick. What can we do? Those kind of things. The higher end homes sit longer. People get anxious. My neighbor, for example, dropped her house $50,000, and she's moving out. I don't know if it's sold. Haven't looked. And then there's been a couple price increases, and then back on market, right? Delinquency rate on credit card loans. So the other side of this is what other things are going on that would cause people like me to say, okay, well, maybe things are going in this direction. We need to pay attention to this. And this is a great visual, because you can see from the 90s how we came out of the recession. I believe there was one there. The interest rates. Let me see if I can pull it up, so I have to look at it. You go backwards, and then you can see 2008 when all the housing crisis started, and then people stopped being delinquent after they peaked, after everything got tapped out. And again, I believe this is government manipulation of the housing market to address, a non-necessary crisis, and ultimately, people got wealthy, people got good deals, and that kind of stuff. But again, this didn't have to happen. Whatever. And this is delinquency rate on all loans. And again, let's just jump back to this. So we're not too far up from 2022. We're coming out of this recession. People paid off their bills. Money was coming at us, and then it's starting to climb up there, somewhere around 3%. And then we're going to see this. We'll just keep a track on this and see how things shake out. If there's anything that we need to start to pay attention to, certainly if it starts to climb up, people aren't paying their car loans. And I haven't looked at the car sales either. That might be something that we could look into. Maybe do an interview with somebody who's in the car side of things and see what their perspective is. Delinquency rate on all loans. And again, you guys, this is national from Fred, from the Federal Reserve. And so what I was looking for is people that are failing or delinquent on their auto loans. And again, you can see this number come down. So this isn't really that scary of a number. The biggest thing that I'm kind of keeping my eye on, and I'm not a professional finance guy, I'm just, trying to make sure that I don't lose my dough, and my clients don't, commit to something. But what is the government going to do about some of this stuff? I don't think they're going to help the homeowner. I don't think they're going to come up with something like the Bush did back in 2000. What was it? 2004, 2003, somewhere in there. Try and manipulate the system so that people are getting home loans. So that's my report. I think that houses are still being sold. If you're thinking about selling, just be cautious about the prices and what's realistic and what you're going to get, because a lot of people are listing their house for a certain price and then they have to change it. And then the other side of that is that when you sell that house, when you have to reduce your price, it's not as fresh. You kind of have to wait a little longer. You have to wait a little longer for that buyer to come by. There's another house down the street, and they're doing a huge remodel on it. I'm not sure they're going to get what they want out of it. But you know what? It'll be fixed up real nice. They price it right, it'll go pretty quick. If you have any questions, give me a call, 800-224-6962. Again, I appreciate all the calls. We're getting calls from everything from property tax issues, to I had a lady call me yesterday about a fraudulent deed that had happened on her property and needed a referral for an attorney. So I appreciate it all, and we'll talk to you soon.